I've got the table up on the surface plate. The top of the table is down, and what I've been doing is laying out what the ways look like here. And so we'll start in the middle here. This is +1, and this is +1 versus the opposite way in the exact same position right in the middle. And then what I did was I just ran the indicator along and started putting lines where the way changed. So this is 3 thou, 4 thou, 5 thou, 6, 7. And the other interesting thing going on is inside of here you can see there's a spot that's looks like milling marks, and that's actually 4 thou high. That's where the saddle was not even contacting the table. And then it's 5 thou high in there, 5.5 here. So the wear took place in the middle. So the wear took place in the middle, but it also took place on the outside edge here. And the inside, there's quite a step in there. And on the opposite side, there's actually a ridge out here at this outside edge that is 2 to 3 thou high as well. So that'll be one of the first things that I work on, is coming up with a pattern to step scrape. As you can see, there's quite a few steps that I'll need to scrape. But prior to even starting that, I want to work on getting rid of this high spot inside deep in the dovetail there. And then on the other side, getting rid of the ridge out here at this outside edge. So I think it shows up here. What I've done is I've transferred my plan based on the numbers on top here to the side or the back of the table. So as I start to scrape, I'll know, and I'll be able to check off how many cycles I've done across here. So starting down here at this end, there's going to be 7 cycles there, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then that center section gets 0. And then it's the exact same on the other end of the table as well. So one of the things that I want to do as I start going, or before I start scraping, is I want to try and take care of, there's this little lip out here at the outside edge. It was pretty consistently showing up with the indicator. And one of the things I just realized as I started to scrape that, because I was expecting to see, you know, like here I had it marked at plus 3 thou. Well, really what that is that's only That's a +3, but the base area here is a +1, so it's really only a 2 thou step there. So what I'm trying to do is keep the scraper really flat here and keep a lot of the scraper on that base area, just so I'm just taking off that high point. You get a good sharp blade, the right stroke and the right speed. Doesn't take long to make a pile of chips with that scraper. I'd be here for 3 years hand scraping that. This is going to be the last pass on this step scraping process here. So I finished the step scraping on both ends, and I've got it back up on the surface plate. The right end here, which would be the back left on the table as it's on the Bridgeport, is looking pretty good. It's down to within about 1.5 thou overall. And then this end here, I got a little bit of work to do here. Didn't quite take enough off. And then just inside or just outside of the groove, the relief groove, I got a little bit of a high spot running through here. And I think what that is I was really concentrating on trying to get the back edge, and it's hard to do with the scraper to get the blade in there without hitting. So I think I took some material off down towards the groove, but then as I came out, I missed a little section. I didn't miss it, but I just didn't apply the same amount of pressure. So I'm going to go back through and do a little bit more step scraping here, and then get it back up on the plate here and check it out, because we're getting close enough now that we should start spotting and bluing and checking. So this view right now is the table. It's upside down. And this is the T-slot in the front. This line right here represents the center of the table, where you would see the oil hole for oiling the feed nuts for the X and the Y balls or lead screws. And I wanted to just kind of show how I'm going to work through the step scraping, because as you can see, back in tight here in the dovetail, this is a +4 thou. Out here in the middle of the way is only +1 and +1, and that's relative to the 0 I set for both sides. And then over here, in tight here where there was no contact with the saddle as this thing was used, it's 4.5 thou, 2 thou, 1.5 thou out here. And so what happens is this space back in here is 2 thou bigger, or 2 thou higher than this here, and it's actually about 3 thou higher than this edge out here. So what's going to happen, and then I mean this is one section in the way, and then if you go left or right it changes based on what's happening inside of here, what the shape of the way and the table look like. So there's a lot going on. So I thought I'd just show what's going to happen in one section here, and each section along the way is just slightly different. So in this section here, I'm going to scrape this inside area. I'm going to scrape it twice, which should get me, basically what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and continue to take the higher spots down to the lower spot across all the areas. So I'm going to scrape this area first. I haven't decided yet whether I'll put it back up on the table, possibly try and get it even with this. Then I'm going to scrape all the way in from here, roughly in here, and then all the way in the entire way. So basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to work the high spots down and step them down to get all three of these surfaces at the same height, and then as you go across the table either way, I'm trying to get the same thing on all the different sections. So at that point then what I'll end up with is I'll end up with a surface that is strictly that shape in it, and then it's just step scraping like what I did on the other side. But currently right now it's not a flat surface across this way, and it's not a flat surface this way. So I'm trying to make it flat in one direction and then work the other direction. And that's kind of a shot of when I lay the whole thing out. Those are all the different sections and all the different levels of scraping that I'm going to attempt to bring the surfaces in a line both directions. And that's purely just rough scraping, step scraping to get us close, and then we'll start spotting at that point. I've just been surveying the way here. I'm trying to get it close at this point before I start using straight edges and stuff to get surface finish. So this way here, I step scraped it this way. There was a bit of angle in it, and then it had the bow in the middle, so I step scraped this way, and I was down to the point where I needed to make one more pass across the whole face to try and get it close to the height of the opposite side. And just prior to doing that, I wanted to just kind of survey it with the indicator, and I've got a band here that's a little high yet. And then there's a small section through here that's a bit high that I want to take care of prior to going a pass across everything. So at this point, with all the work that I've done on the on both sides of the table, this would be the flat way that would sit on the saddle. Then, like I say, I've done step scraping to get rid of taper this way, and then the bow that was in both sides this way here. So and I haven't done any spotting whatsoever. This was all step scraping and using a dial indicator off of the surface plate just to map out and find if there was any high spots. So at this point I'm just calling this is just a roughed in surface that has a basic geometry of what I need. And like I said in my last update, I've got the saddle on the go now because I need the two pieces. Actually, more importantly, I need the saddle to make sure that these two surfaces here are coplanar coplanar parallel to the top of the table, a lot of things going on, and I need the saddle to finished and ready to verify the table as well. So I've just kind of wrapped up the table, and I'm going to be done with the table here for a bit as I get the saddle sorted out.